involved in that video. Take up Morocco. You want to give Fulani Janjaweed the reason to invade our land. That's what you're doing. But we shall get to that later. Anybody involved in the circulation of that video is a gunner. I'm telling you the truth. And those that made it. That is how people behave, because they don't understand the game plan of the Fulani. People are very foolish. Fulani will come to you and want to use you, and you succumb because you have greed, envy, and jealousy inside you. Which one again is Biafran Army, I'm asking you? From where? How many people? The day I will bring out the Biafran Army, we number over 200,000 standing. Reserve is over 1 million. Some bunch of idiots somewhere, because you're serving your Fulani Janjaweed masters. We'll get hold of all of you. Check out Uno. We know the bad eggs when we see them. We warned people against voting for Buhari in 2015 when he was still alive. The same Buhari died in 2017. People, all of you know that Buhari is dead. Today he's young, tomorrow he's old. You see his hand is fresh today, tomorrow. Nobody knows who is who anymore. All of you are there, but because it's the turn of your village. Your brother is a senator. Your sister is a House of Reps member. You don't want to lose that money that is coming in every day. You come out on social media and you're talking rubbish all the time. Because you're a black person. You don't understand. There is something called economies of scale. Some of you cannot reason very well. You claim you went to school. Sometimes I wonder the type of lecturers you have in your useless schools that you went to. I wonder, honestly speaking. Because you and your family, you are benefiting. Somehow you think that life is okay for you. Because of the level, or should I say the poverty of ideas inside you. Any day your relative goes into the farm, the Fulanis will kill them. All you can do is to lament. Say things are bad though, and you go and you sleep. And nothing gets done about it. It was I am very, very grateful to Almighty Elohim that the courage today that you have in Yoruba land is because of ESN. The courage of Amoteku to say no to Fulani is because of ESN. Because of Eastern Security Network. That is why they found the courage to say no to Fulani. If not, they will not do it. After all these years, without the coming, should I say all these months, without the coming of ESN, as Amoteku said, we are going to flush out Fulani headsmen from our bushes. Never. It's because they saw us, they have seen us doing it. They said, oh, we might as well do the same thing as well. In order to it's called the pincer movement, to cut us off. They got some people, I don't know whether maybe in Olu or whatever, got them together, gave them, say, we are Biafran Army, a few idiots. They are shooting guns, we are Biafran Army. Inside somewhere. Did we tell you that we have formed the Biafran Army? We said when we form it, the world will know that we have come. I don't hide anything. If you claim you are behind any useless group calling themselves Biafran Army, show your face because I'm showing my face on video. I claim ownership of ESN, not ownership of course. I can claim responsibility for ESN. Can you claim the same thing for Biafran Army? If you claim you're a human being, that is all the handiwork of DSS. Mad people every idiots everywhere. Africans and lack of discipline. You don't have discipline. You don't have discipline. That was why the white man came and conquered you, because you lack discipline. After the white man must have finished with you, Fulani came from Senegambia because you have no brain. Lack of discipline. Every idiot thinks they can lead. They don't know what leadership entails. Every monkey thinks, oh, maybe if we have it. Nobody is funding IPOB ESN. It's only IPOB that's funding it worldwide. If you think you can bring 2 or 3 people together with a few rifles, and because of that, you can start calling for funds, you are wasting your time. You don't know our people. They won't give you a dime. Fulani is making use of your brain. You cannot see it. They come to you, oh, why don't you fight Yoruba? Oh, Yoruba is against Igbo. Igbo is against Yoruba. Fight each other. The same thing they did in the constitution of Biafra land. They told, I know the game there.
Those of you who are watching on YouTube, I know the interruption was so severe. I am not even sure if this is going to hold for a very long time because I don't know what happened. Let me see if we are coming out clear. For a very long time because I am not sure of what happened. Everything just disappeared. And it is coming from my network provider. I believe it is coming. It is not actually from the network provider. I think Facebook, it came from Facebook because there was, what Facebook does? What Facebook does, I have noticed that Facebook, if they want to cut you off Facebook, they will pull in, a lot of network from your network provider, a lot of data from your network provider that your network provider might even cut you off, even though it is uncapped. It is uncapped. Yet, we were unable, I am unable to connect back on Facebook. I had to now go look for a mobile data. I had to go look for a mobile data in order to use, because my uncapped, my home, what do you call it? My uncapped data is not coming. I don't know what happened. But we must continue. We must defeat them and their, everything that they bring against us. Broadcast. So if you are on YouTube, kindly share the video, click the like button for the algorithm to also do the sharing. I am also monitoring to see if we are going to go back on Facebook, because the mobile network will not be able to hold the data that Facebook is pulling. Even if I reduce the byte rate, it is not connecting. So I don't know why Facebook kicked us out, but let us try to continue. Remember that what we are talking about is about the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. When you talk about the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, the case is a case that has no, prospect, of appeal. It is unappealable. That is the reason why the appeal court said that no court in Nigeria will entertain such case because it has no jurisdiction in the Nigeria court. And since it has no jurisdiction in the Nigeria court, the question is, why is that case still in the Nigeria court, and why is Mazen Nnamdi Kanu still in the solitary confinement today? It is as a result of the corruption, as a result of the evil setup called Nigeria. That is the reason why Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is still in a solitary confinement today. And that we must find a way to get our voice heard, because Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is detained unarbitrarily. The whole world is aware of that. He is detained unarbitrarily. If you look at the verdict which the Court of Appeal said, that after this verdict, no court, it means it is unappealable. It has no prospect for appeal. That was the verdict given to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu by the appeal court, 3-man panel. But Malami decided that no, since this case, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was discharged and acquitted, he started talking about Mazen Nnamdi Kanu being a flight risk. In which court in any part of the world have you seen a person that is discharged and acquitted, quashed every charges laid against this person, yet court refused to release him, and they said that no, he is a flight risk? According to the people who are actually defining the verdict given to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, they called him a flight risk. What has a flight or him or risk got to do with the case that is quashed? They said no, he is a flight risk, a stay of execution. From stay of execution, now we are appealing the case. You are appealing the case on what basis? When the court said that this case has no prospect to appeal, it is unappealable because Nigeria pleaded guilty of extraordinary rendition for failing to present the document, of to failing to present any evidence of extradition. Number one, the learned court understood that Nigeria and Kenya does not share a bilateral treaty. So if Nigeria-Kenya does not share a bilateral treaty, it is already an evidence that there was a foul play. There was a foul play from the, capturing of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya and bringing of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria. It was a foul play. That is the reason why the court squashed every charges, 15 count charges, including treasonable felony. It was quashed. It was quashed by the court of competent jurisdiction in Nigeria. But because Malami, Attorney General Malami, who was placed there through nepotism, who was placed there through favoritism, that same man is the man who used his position of Attorney General to override or to overrule every decision made by the court of a competent jurisdiction. It is not a customary court that gave that verdict. It is not a criminal court. It is not a high court. It is appeal court, which is the court that is before the apex court of the land. Appeal court is the court that is next to the apex court of the land, which is the Supreme Court. Gave such verdict with a clause with no prospect to appeal. So what is Mazen Nnamdi Kanu still doing in DSS solitary confinement? Those who knows and understand the law of Nigeria should actually tell me what is the meaning of no prospect to appeal. What is the meaning of, maybe you will understand it the way it was quoted. I will quote it verbatim. There is no court in Nigeria that has jurisdiction to try this case, as Nigeria state pleaded guilty of extraordinary rendition instead of extradition, violating of international treaty. So, anybody who knows law in Nigeria, anybody who understands the law of Nigeria or the law, tell me, why is Mazen Nnamdi Kanu still in a solitary confinement today? Because Nigeria is a banana republic. Because Nigeria has no law. Because Nigeria, they make law and they are not abiding to the law that they make. Nigeria court released a person, and Nigeria government decided that no, the court is unlearned. So let us do it our way. Call Attorney General. Please, Attorney General, override this issue of quashing this case and tell them that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is a flight risk. So now we have to apply for stay of execution. How can you, in any court, in any part of this world, believe you me, in any part of this world, anybody that is actually declared, anybody that the court say that you are no a criminal, anytime a court quashed a case and they said it has no jurisdiction, such case is unappealable. It has no jurisdiction to be, this case has no jurisdiction in Nigeria, in a country. Not even Supreme Court will tell you otherwise, because it has no jurisdiction. Because I gave you, I don't know how far you heard me when we were online before the Facebook decided to do what they did and cut us off. I said to you, the case that has no prospect of appeal is a case such as when a person plead guilty. Anytime you plead guilty in a particular case, you cannot appeal it again. You can only appeal the verdict or the sentencing, but you cannot appeal after pleading guilty. And Nigeria, where is the extradition, evidence that you went through a due process? Where is the evidence that shows that you went through a due process to get this man from Kenya and bring him back to Nigeria? The Nigeria government pleaded guilty, which led to, because they have no such evidence, which led to the quashing of the 15-count charges, which led to the judges saying it has no prospect of appeal. The case has no jurisdiction in Nigeria. So, what are we doing in Supreme Court? Why is Mazen Nnamdi Kanu kept in a solitary confinement? Because in this type of, anytime a case is finalized in any court, be it lower court, be it high court, the verdict is given, the individual is bound to be released immediately, not waiting to be released another day, or waiting to now find a way to place him, to leave him there. It is on arbitrary detention. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is kept on arbitrary detention. It is born of a personal vendetta of the impostor in Asari during 2021. But the impostor left. And now, Attorney General, also the man who went against the law and the order of a court, of a competent court for that matter. He also, his tenure is finished. So who is holding Mazen Nnamdi Kanu in a solitary confinement? The answer is, we don't know. So it is on autopilot. It is on autopilot. That is the reason why the court, the Supreme Court, the apex court of the land, does not know his calendar. Does not know that its calendar, that the date they are going to fix the so-called appeal of a case that has no prospect of appeal. It is now a day that is supposed to be a recess for the judges. They call it a holiday is it a holiday? A recess for the judges. You ask yourself, we've been asking this question, how can a learned judges, or how can a court decide to put a court date and only to come back to say that this court date we actually, established, is no longer going to hold because it is a recess. That day is vacation. It is a vacation day for the appeal court judges. Is that not ironic? That shows that this court It's either they are doing it on purpose or they don't know what they are doing, or they're undermining the positions that they found themselves. Those so-called judges or those judges are undermining the position that is given to them to save Nigerians, to respect the law, to make the law, to uphold the law. That is what they are doing. And in this type of case, it is a time when we need to ask these judges to recuse themselves, because in so doing, giving a court date, coming back to say it is a vacation, knowing that the case you are trying, the case you are actually appealing on, is a case that has no jurisdiction to be tried in Nigeria, because they lack any evidence of extradition. It has no prospect for appeal. So that is an evidence to show you that whatever you are seeing there, whatever shenanigan you are seeing in court, it is done purposely, because they know that they have nothing. They know that they have nothing to hold on to if they eventually say that, let us come out and see to this case. So they are united. Election was rigged. In front of everybody, even election observers cried foul. At the end of the day, court gave the verdict against a person whom people voted for. And they gave a verdict for the person whom people did not vote for. And it was actually the joker they were using Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's case to play. It was the joker they were using the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu to play. Such joker is the reason why you see Mazen Nnamdi Kanu today still in a solitary confinement, so that after the court verdict, we will see the reaction of the people from the eastern Nigeria. From their reaction, that will now tell us how we are going to handle this case, how we are going to release this man, or how we are going to see what we will do with this man. They are using Rob Peter to pay Paul. I have seen Facebook have released the video that we were cut off from. They have released the video. So that's okay. Let me see if I will connect back to Facebook, because we have a better audience on Facebook. We had 400 and more than 400 and watching in real time before we were cut off. It's still not actually giving me a red light to connect. It is still not giving me a light to connect. I guess we will continue with YouTube and Twitter. We are also live on Twitter. In case YouTube does not give you what you want, you can go to X. You can watch us on X. We are live on X. We are live on YouTube. So, in this regard, it is very, very simple. It is very, very simple. Nigeria, prisoner of conscience. What is happening is, I think, so Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, in this case now, he becomes a prisoner of conscience. That's what he has become, a prisoner of conscience. So being a prisoner of conscience, it means that he is a political prisoner. A prisoner that has won the case in court. The politics they are playing with his now detention. That is what Mazen Nnamdi Kanu becomes. And a political prisoner, it is that type of prison, political prisoner. It is either you give them what they want, or you make the matter worse. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for the freedom and the restoration of Biafra. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu asked for a referendum. He never asked for war. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu asked for the freedom of Biafra, which led Nigeria invading Biafra land in 1967, taking the life of more than 3.5 million women and children, courtesy of Gowon, which was well orchestrated by Britain. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu came this time. He is very aware of how they are willing to make us, to cease to exist in this world by the activities of what they did to us in 1967. He decided to come with a new strategy behind the mic because it was lack of media coverage. The media was controlled by the West. The media was controlled by Britain. That was why we were killed extrajudiciously. We were a genocide against the Biafrans. So he decided to start with the mic, just like I'm doing. That's what led his extraordinary rendition from Kenya to Nigeria. And the court set him free. Said that they will entertain it. They decided to entertain it. And that is what is going on today. So, this is where I am going to leave it. But it is very, very important. What we need to be asking Nigeria judges, Supreme Court judges, do they understand what it means by it has no prospect for appeal? Do they understand the real meaning of it has no jurisdiction to try this case? Because Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is not in Nigeria. Technically, he is in Kenya. Because even, of course, if you check his passport, he will not be stamped out of Kenya to show you there is no relationship that was actually implemented between Kenya, or there was no relationship established between Kenya and Nigeria. It's either Nigeria undermined the security apparatus of Kenya, or they undermined the sovereignty of Kenya and went and captured Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and renditioned him. Or just like Mazen Nnamdi Kanu told us, he was transported through CIA jet. That means Britain did the job. They did the technicalities, and every other thing. Nigeria had to now lay their fingerprint in the scene of British crime in Kenya. It has always been like that. A black man's fingerprint is always found in the scene of a white man crime. It has always been like that. And Nigeria is always a willing tool. When it comes to the African countries, Nigeria, people, countries in the sub-Saharan, their leadership are always a willing tool in the hands of these Europeans and imperialists. Nigeria is one of them, the giant of them. But thank God that there is a wave of coup d'etat going on around sub-Saharan. That people are waking up because the willing tools of the West is actually more prevalent in sub-Saharan region of Africa, where Nigeria becomes the giant. They are willing to serve the master. They are willing to kill for the master. They are willing, to be used by the Europeans to oppress their people. So, as it is, I am going to leave it here. Let us go to the next thing we have, as we are done with Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's. We have reflected on it. Now, I want to show you exactly what is going on here. As you can see, look at, there was a sanction given to against Niger Republic by your Nigeria president. This sanction was against, or is against, Niger Republic. Now, who is facing and who is actually suffering as a result of such sanction? Let us find out. Who is facing the spikes of this sanction? It happens to be Nigeria. It happens to be Nigeria. Let me read out something for you. I might not be able to bring it. Nigeria troubled economy. Remember, Nigeria, this is France 24 that I am reading. France 24. It is what I am reading. You know why? Nigeria troubled economy. Nigeria troubled economy. Country hit hard by sanctions against neighboring Niger. Listen very attentively. It is a short news. It does not have a lot of article. It says, in Nigeria, after more than a month of sanction against his neighboring Niger Republic, the impact is also felt across the country. France 24's correspondent Chinwe Osondo reports. Now, I want you to know that when the Europeans and the US came together and sanctioned Russia, they sanctioned Russia for the invasion of Ukraine. Today, Europeans are actually crying, had I know, the sanction they gave to Russia is now coming back to haunt them that gave the sanction. Because Russia is now thriving even while under sanction. They are able to turn the tide by starting to trade their goods and commodities with their own rubles, which is Russian currency. They are no longer dependent on the US dollars to trade their oil, their uranium, etc. So, now, and plus that Nord Stream pipeline was blown. So, as winter is fast approaching, it is always a stress for Europe, for the Europeans. It is always a stress for Europeans, because there is no gas that powers the home heaters. There is no gas that will enable them to heat up their houses, that will enable them to make electricity to be stable, because if they have to now burn coal, they have to now depend on the fossil fuel, they have to start importation of fossil fuel, which is coal, to power their, carbon emission power stations. And they will not have a choice. They have to do it, even in this upcoming winter, because all this integration of greener energy, which German was actually leading the technology, now it has to be, it has to stop, except if the gas pipeline from Nigeria is gotten to Europe. If that pipeline is already working, it means they have no problem in this upcoming winter. And that is the reason why they had to, cough out $13 billion to make sure that that project is actually facilitated as quick as possible. I believe that there is actually, one way or the other, that project is actually on hold because of Niger coup. It is on hold because the pipeline passed through the Nigeria. It passed through there, and you cannot operate such things without the permission of the military junta, because they are in control of their country right now. So I believe it becomes a problem for the Europeans, because I don't think they will have enough gas, natural gas, in order to power up their heater or their electricity. So they have to actually depend on the carbon emission power station, which this carbon emission power station contribute to the climate change, which Africa contributes less than 4% of this climate change. And now Africa is being advised to actually do away with anything carbon emission, instead of allowing us, who are the emerging economy, allowing Africa, which is actually, economy that has been underdeveloped, to make use of these things, and them that are actually contributing, the highest percentage of this climate change. They should start the reparation of the climate. They should actually reduce, not telling Africa to reduce. We need to build our own economy. It is not when it comes to the turn of Africa, now it has to be regulated. So they need to actually stop this carbon emission while Africa do what it can to develop, because they have been using this carbon emission. If we contribute in Africa there less than 4% of this climate change, then we are not aggressive towards the climate. We are not. It means we are not supposed to be regulated as it stands now, because most of the African country does not have money to talk about this regulation on climate change. Most African countries does not have money. So what is going on? It is important for us to understand that now the sanction given to Russia hurts Europe. Who gave it? The sanction given to Niger Republic hurts Nigeria. Who gave it? Because now there is no longer movement of goods and services. It is now difficult to move goods and services. Let me play, I think it comes with a video. Let me play that video so that you will understand exactly the concerns of Nigerians. Let us understand the concerns of Nigerians. The businessmen, especially the northern Nigeria. The northern Nigeria are crying. Listen. One moment. After the advert, one moment.
Gawano market in Kano, Nigeria is the largest cereal market in Africa. Alhaji Ibrahim has recently rendered 3/4 of his staff redundant. Before the border closure with Niger, some 50 handlers were preparing tons of bags of beans every day. But the measure have this major traders' business overnight.
Honestly, we're all unhappy, both our customers and us, the suppliers. We can't supply goods until we've received given orders, and they can't make profit until we deliver. So we're all stuck.
West Africa bloc ECOWAS slapped a series of sanctions on Niger following a July 26th coup. Abuchi Ume is a Nigerian wholesaler of household electrical appliances. For over 5 years, more than 40% of his business has been in Chad and Niger. The embargo has had a huge impact on his regional sales. He fears that the standoff between ECOWAS and the junta in Niamey will drag on.
Even though I'm sure we can survive without Niger, but we do better with Niger. Because no business would love to lose 30% of
This business overnight.
their customer.
30%.
It's something that you would not like to lose.
These two trucks have been stuck on the outskirts of Kano for several weeks. The drivers are supposed to deliver their cargo to the south of Niger, in the Zither and different regions, mainly non-perishable goods, already paid for by impatient Nigerian customers on the other side of the border.
We're stranded. We're looking for a way to leave, but we can't. So we have no choice but to stay. It's better than getting to the border, where things are even worse.
Nigerians have suffered setbacks, the Naira crisis, then the end of the fuel subsidy, and now the Niger border closure could be the last straw for many traders in Kano, making survival difficult for tens of thousands of small businesses in this economic hub of northern Nigeria.
As if they care. Did you hear that? The people that actually, that is supposed to be concerned is the government. They did not think about the consequences of actually giving a sanction to their neighbor. They actually call for this economic crisis. They are suffering from subsidy removal, suffering from the depreciation of Naira. They are suffering from climate change. They are suffering from, inflation, high inflation. So, they now bring this border closure of Niger Republic. On top of their suffering, what does this tell you? What is the meaning of this? It only means that Nigeria does not care. The leaders in Nigeria, they are the willing tool. That is the reason why when we call them, the willing tool of neocolonialism, you will think it is just us speaking grammar. It is the reality of it. They did not think about the consequences of this sanction they are giving against Niger Republic, which is their neighbor, to the businesses it is, they do with the northern Nigeria. They didn't think about it. Because whoever stays into the power, will have to please whoever force that placed them in power, which is the Western agenda. It is all about West. They have to carry out the Western agenda first, without carrying out your agenda as a Nigerian, without even considering you as Nigerian citizen. What impact is this decision we are making? What impact is it going to have in your small businesses or medium enterprise? How is it going to impact them? They don't care. Because everything that happens in Nigeria, it happens on autopilot. There is no leadership. No leadership that cares. All they do is go out there to snap pictures with the big boys. We are going to United Nations. We are going to this G20 summit. We are going to this. They take pictures with the big boys. You will think that there is something that will come out of the picture that are taken with the big boys. At the end of the day, they tell you they signed this defense thing with India. They have signed that with... You will never see any sign of it into your economy or into your security formation. None. To sign it is not a problem. It is in the implementation of it becomes a bigger problem. Now you give a sanction to Niger. It is now affecting the small businesses and medium enterprise in Nigeria. What are you going to do? are you going to cowardly come back and say, no, let us remove this sanction? It is hurting my people. Because even the Europeans, they are crying about this Russia sanction. But they did not say, let us remove it because now it is hurting them. Do you know what is called the ego? Ego is what destroys these people. Ego. And I am loving it the way it is happening. Because as you know, the ego is going to destroy anybody that is actually egotistic. They will end up destroying themselves because of their ego. They will never hear any advice from who that matters, from their people. They rather hear it from Europeans. That is the problem of most African leaders. And that is the reason why it is very, very important that Africans take their destiny by themselves. Your destiny is in your hands. Make use of it. Because if you continue to allow these egotistic leaders of you, you will continue to have your loved ones lost in an illness or ailment that you know that is curable, because you do not have a good medical facility to take care of them. Even the one you have is unaffordable. You cannot afford it because there is no subsidy. There is no subsidies. Government does not care to make this healthcare system to make it affordable, because that is one of the primary things that the government is supposed to give to their citizen. Healthcare system to be standard. You see these two things, healthcare system, security. You see, security and healthcare system, those two things are very, very essential. Among others, they are very, very essential, because when you talk about healthcare system, you talk about where it caters for the president, governors, so that you do not take money from the economy going out there to patronize other healthcare systems, spending billions of naira every year in patronizing other healthcare systems in Europe. Why don't you spend that money to establish your own healthcare system? Because there will never be a political will that will do it. They will say, I am Igbo, I am Yoruba, I am Fulani, I am Hausa. How can I build this thing? It will benefit Igbo, benefit Fulani. Why did the Fulani man that was there not build it? That is what they tell themselves. But yet they will come and tell you diversity is your strength. Your diversity. Our diversity is very, very special diversity. So many people will come and tell us every country in the world is diverse. They have their own diversity. Our own diversity is very, very special. It was specially made for us. That diversity is very dangerous one. A very dangerous diversity that cannot enable us to thrive as a nation. That is the type of diversity that we have. A diversity that, people will, things you need to do, you will say, no, how can I do it? It will benefit Igbo. How can I do this to benefit Fulani man? How can I do this to benefit Hausa man? You will refuse to do them because you believe it is going to benefit people you do not like. Yet you are a president for everybody. You are supposed to be or presume to be a president for everybody. Why can't you do things that will be beneficial for everybody? Then when we talk about referendum, people will say, no, you are dividing Africa. How can you be dividing Africa, a nation that is divided? A nation that is historically never one. Just they are forcing it to be one because they have some symbiotic relationship with some part of that nation, which Europeans are benefiting more from their symbiotic relationship. Even them that are actually orchestrating and nurturing this symbiotic relationship, they are not benefiting anything. They are not. So now it boils down to now exactly how can you give a sanction, and that sanction is by biting you. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You will not find the president trying to reverse the sanction. You will not find them trying to do something reasonable about it. You know why? It does not directly affect them. It affects the business people. And they don't care about the business people. They don't care about the employment in Nigeria. They don't care about people working. The only thing they will say, no, when you become a criminal, if the military catch you, if the police catch you, they shoot you, you die. They even kill people who are not criminal. Talk more of people who now go into criminality because of the state of the nation. Have you now seen that when we say that they have institutionalized poverty in Nigeria, so that you will continue to reason the way you are reasoning, the way you are reasoning, such a reason that you know it is awkward. You are actually not resilient to demand for what is rightfully yours. That's why these people will continue to make decisions. The decision will always be made on your behalf, and it will never be a friendly decision. It will always be a negative decision that is going to haunt you. That is what they always do. Making a decision that is actually going to hurt you, your businesses. Everybody will be crying. The only people that will be enjoying is the governor's children, governor's wife, president children, president wife, minister children, minister wife. They are the only people who will enjoy without crying in that Nigeria. And they are the same people that will be recycled into these positions at each and every given time when election comes. They are the same people who will come to campaign. They are the same people who will come and, to take the position. And you will tell me that the same people is going to bring a change when the change does not exist in their dictionary. It does not exist in their manifesto. Most of the time, all these political parties will come and read a very, beautiful manifesto for you. After reading the manifesto, when you ask the president, what about what you read in your manifesto? They don't even know what is written in that manifesto of their party. Because did you not hear from Andy, Tony Kowalolmofuma? The Tony, is it, what do you call him? The one, the lawyer of Labour Party now. The lawyer in Labour Party. Andy. The music, is it a Nollywood actor? When he said, even in the manifesto of APC, there is a restructuring. Did they ever talk about it? No. They will not talk about it because they don't know it is written there. It is as a result of his curiosity. As a learned man, he went and read the manifesto in order to see what is written there. Now, have you ever heard about any APC government talking about restructuring? No, they will not. But it does not matter anymore because it will not work. What matters right now is for you to go in there. Take your destiny. It is yours. They have rigged the election. Use Asari D Ekpesu to now run a mafia state to protect the rigging, to protect the stolen mandate. What are you going to do? Even Asari D Ekpesu is bigger than the Nigerian military today. Asari D Ekpesu is more superior than Nigerian military. Asari D Ekpesu is more superior than every other security in Nigeria because Asari D Ekpesu is a very, very special, person that can get away with crime. that can commit anything they want without being held to account. It is Asari Dokubo. That is the reason why you see Asari Dokubo saying anything, threatening anybody that you want to threaten, barricading the roads and telling you that we are here to defend their mandate. Non-state actor. He does not have anything, even if he claims he is a private army or private military. That is, if he is registered under Nigeria Corporate Affairs Commission, which is, I don't know, it is where you're supposed to register it, right? Corporate Affairs Commission, and they were given license to be army. Were they given license to come out in public and threaten people? It is not done. So in this regard, you ask yourself, is this a country or is this a banana republic where people will carry out and do any activities that they want in favor of their own pocket, not even in favor of the nation? We are coming to Asari Dokubo because there are things, he said the other day. That he is not a Ekpesu. That what he ties in on his head is not a Ekpesu. That he is a Muslim. So we are coming to remind him, because their latest activities, when they bring that, they are Ekpesu, we are going to show it to the world so that they will see and understand how hypocritical they are. They call themselves Muslim just to, profit from both sides. If a Fulani man is in power, Asari Dokubo becomes a serious Muslim. If another person is in power, Asari Dokubo becomes a Ekpesu. When his brother was in power, he was a Ekpesu. That is the man that is threatening the whole Nigeria. That if eventually the court deliver a judgment against Tinubu's mandate, that they are there to defend the mandate. They are there to defend the mandate. There is something written here. There is something written here. Let me see what is written. There was something I saw written by Michael Zokome. Now let me show you the latest development. President Biden engagement with Nigeria President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Before we go to Asari Dokubo, let me show you. President Joe Biden met with Nigeria President, where I am reading it is from U.S. Embassy and Consulate Nigeria. U.S. Embassy and Consulate Nigeria. President Joe Biden met with Nigeria President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today on the sideline of the G20 summit in New Delhi, India, to reinforce our enduring commitment to the U.S.-Nigeria relationship and to the long-standing friendship between our two countries and the peoples. President Biden welcomed the Tinubu's administration Tinubu's administration steps to reform Nigeria economy and thanked President Tinubu for his strong leadership as the chair of Economic Community of ECOWAS, Economic Community of West Africa, to defend and preserve democracy and the rule of law in Niger and the border region. Nigeria's invitation to the G20 summit is a recognition of Nigeria's important global role as Africa's largest democracy and economy. Now, did you see how Biden thanked him for protecting that democracy given to Africa by Europeans? He thanked him for protecting it, for bringing sanction that is hurting and destroying Nigeria economy as well today. Joe Biden thanked him. Joe Biden also congratulated him for being, welcome to the G20 summit, for giving invitation to the G20 summit. He welcomed him. But President Biden did not actually, he's not one of those who proposed for Africa to be part of G20. But he said that Nigeria invitation to the G20, he said that Tinubu, he welcomed, or let me read it from here. President Biden welcomed the Tinubu's administration's steps to reform Nigeria economy and thanked President Tinubu for strong leadership as the chair of Economic Community of West African States to defend and preserve democracy. To defend and preserve democracy. He liked it. He is liking it. My boy is doing it correctly. For that sanction, remember that it is his boy. They place him there. They control him. They tell him what to do. So he is their boy. He is doing it correctly. He is now being praised for bringing economic challenges to his own country by sanctioning the neighboring country, where Nigeria is actually trading with this country. He sanctioned them. And the Biden is telling him we welcome that. Yeah, they welcome that. And telling him that he is promoting democracy. He is promoting democracy by using all these, avenues that he used to rig himself into the position of leadership. What type of promoting democracy is that? If you will ask Joe Biden, does he rig himself into office? Did he rig himself into office in the US election? Why is he telling Tinubu that he is trying to protect democracy when there is no atom of democratic protection? Or is it the type of democracy that we have seen in Nigeria, where everybody, including children that just got up to 18 years or years of voting, got their PVC for the first time in the history of Nigeria? All celebrities rallied about one man and everybody got their PVC. This is not the issue of no, people did not vote, people did not turn up. People voted. To the extent people make a joke counting their own result. There was a technology that's supposed to upload that result, which will satisfy everybody that this result, so that when they call the result uploaded from each polling unit, it will be in correspondence with what happened in that polling unit. They were not uploaded from the polling unit. Joe Biden is coming to congratulate some such person, telling him, for you protecting democracy. Is that a protection of democracy? That is my question. Could that be a protection of democracy? Because they know how to get away with it by telling you that there is no law in Nigeria that will tell you, that permit, or that there is no law in Nigeria that is enforceable that permit uploading of the result, or made the mandate of uploading of results from the polling unit. There is no law in Nigeria that mandates the upload of those results from the polling unit. So if there is no law, why then did you buy that technology Did you not buy the technology to avoid vote rigging, election rigging? That is the reason why they bought the technology. But now telling you there is no law that governs whether the vote is uploaded or not. Have you now seen that they are purposely dealing with you, using your sense, using your brain. The next thing they told you, you are in the third position. Remember that when you see that man, you see Obi, he is representing all of you who rallied about him. All of you. No different person. So court told all of you that you are stupid by watching your vote not uploaded according to the instruction of that election, that your vote will be uploaded to the beavers from the polling unit. They now went to court and tell you this beaver is not important because it is not gazetted. There is no law that governs this beaver. There is no law that makes it mandatory for these elections to be for these votes to be uploaded from the polling unit. Have you now seen what they have done? And Obi will now come out to tell you we are going to Supreme Court. What are you going to Supreme Court to do? If there is no law that allows them, that will enforce them to upload the vote, what are you going to Supreme Court to do? You need to stop deceiving yourselves here. There is nothing you are going to Supreme Court to do. If they have said there is no law as such, there is no law as such. Is there any law as such? No. They use it to deceive you. So you are deceived. Stop wasting people's time. You aren't going to get it right in the Supreme Court because there is no law. There is no law. When that beavers was actually, introduced, if you people were intelligent, you were supposed to put it by, make a law in the parliament that will govern that beaver, to make sure that votes are uploaded from the polling unit. And the court did not lie about it. There is no law that governs that. Do you know why? It does not mean that there was no election rigged. Because we saw the algorithm and we got a different result. Now, it simply means that by law, you can get away with election rigging, regardless of the technology that is actually introduced. You can get away with election rigging. When you go to court will tell them you are the number 3 because it is already determined by INEC. Independent. They are independent. They cannot be investigated. That is something you don't understand about this independent. They cannot be investigated. They are independent. So they do their things according to their profession. So anybody who walks in and manipulates their system wins. That's why it is called Independent National Electoral Commission. They are independent. So it means that there is now 4 arms of government in Nigeria, which is judiciary, court, legislature, those who make law in the red chamber, and there is now executive, and there is independent electoral commission, those who determine who will go to executive, those who determine who will go to government. So there is now 3 arms of government in Nigeria, which so many of us are not actually, paying attention to it. Anything that is independent is like a government of its own. You cannot question them. And that is the reason why court tells you that INEC have a right to do this. INEC have a right to do that. You cannot question them the reason why they did not upload the result. And you cannot question them. They are independent. They do what they want. So what are you going to Supreme Court to do? It is going to be a wasteful expenditure and trying to calm people down, because they know, of course, you Nigerians, once it past 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you have forgotten everything. That is the reason why it is part of the delay strategy, because Peter Obi knows that he is waiting for another 8 years. I'm telling you, he is well aware that he is not going to get this mandate of his. He is well aware, but he is trying to calm the situation down. And how is he trying to calm this situation down? He is trying to calm this situation down in a way that you will not come and, cause a chaos that will now make him not to contest in the next 8 years, because he is waiting for the next 4 years. Forget about 4 years. Incumbent government will always win. So he is already making it mandatory that he is coming out next 4 years, which he is going to lose, because incumbent government is going to win. And this incumbent government is sponsored and protected by the West, by the US and Europeans. So Britain, to be precise, in the Europe. So there is no way they are going to lose. So you are basically waiting for 8 years, another 8 years. Peter Obi is trying to take you through another 8 years, because even if you go to Supreme Court, he is not coming out with the flying colors. Believe you me. Because the verdict given by this in lower court there, which is the election tribunal, that verdict, when you see a verdict that is actually appealable, you will basically know there is no law that governs the beavers. It does not have law. So people can bear witness. It does not have law that governs that beaver. That technology that's supposed to stop vote rigging. So now, if the legislatures now decide that now they want to now introduce a law that, or enact a law that will govern this beaver, they have to come up with it. When they come up with it, it has to be gazetted and handed over to the INEC, so that the INEC will now, work as per this law. As long as that law does not exist, believe you me, you are wasting your time. As long as such law does not exist, you are wasting your time. So Peter Obi, tell the people the truth. We know that whether you go to court or not, you win. You have your own. You didn't lose anything. You did not lose anything. You are not using your cash to run these things that is going on. You're not losing anything. But the people whom their lives depend on it, whom their lives are actually waiting to see if there is something that will come out of you, you are actually bringing their spirit down. You are doing it systematically, trying to calm them down, because you know black people. Your people know how to deal with them. It takes time to adjust. Soon they will forget. So let's just try to keep pushing. You cannot win. You cannot. They have stolen it from you. Britain and Nigeria Fulani have vowed that an Igbo man will never be a president of Nigeria. Peter Obi, if you are an intelligent man, which you portray yourself to be, the only thing you could do for your movement, turn it to be a revolutionary movement. your name will never be forgotten, because you have that power, that movement. You turn it to be a revolutionary movement. It will go down in the history of Nigeria that you become the leader of a revolutionary movement. Politics is not going to solve problem of people in Africa. The only thing that will solve it is revolution. Because the politics you are playing is not actually set up by you. There are people who decide how it is going to play. There are people who decide who is going to actually be the master of this game. There are people who decide it, and those people are not in Africa. They are in Europe and America. So they select the best candidate that will champion their cause. So if you, as P2B, as Igbo man, who refuse in the history to shake Queen Elizabeth with double hands and bow down to Queen Elizabeth, you will not be the one that is going to give the master what they want, because they understand whom we are. They understand that we have ego. They understand that we can do something. They understand that Igbo man can just change within a twinkle of an eye. So they understood it very perfectly. They know that's why they cannot give you the position of leadership of Nigeria. Because they believe, they are insecure that when they give you Igbo man, a president of Nigeria, it is as well as it is actually more as military junta taking over Niger Republic. That's what they believe. It is in their belief. You can never be a Nigeria president, Igbo people. Good luck, Jonathan being Nigeria president was by accident. Did you see how they remove him? Ebele Jonathan. Just because he's Ebele. That's why they remove him. Obama, almighty Obama, as in the America, interfered with Nigeria leadership. Why? Because good luck must go. Good luck Jonathan must go. It was a well-orchestrated plan that they did in 2014 to make sure they remove him. That is the reason why Michelle Obama took a banner to say, bring back our girls. Because they know very well that kidnapping of 250 girls from school, what was that? They call them, what is the name of what they call those girls? The terrorist abducting 250 girls. That is exactly what they use to scuttle and destroy the regime of Goodluck Jonathan, so that the international community will now come in to tell you, Chibok girls, yes, Chibok girls. The international community will now come in to tell you that to start making statements, just like Obama did, made a statement that scared hell out of Goodluck Jonathan, because it was only during the time of Goodluck Jonathan incumbent government did not win election under PDP. PDP lost the power for good. How come? And remember, Goodluck Jonathan got into the position of office because Yaradua, who was the president that he was deputizing, died. So there is no choice than for him to be a president. That's how he made it. He is a learned man, a professor. They say, how can we allow this professor to be in position of power? First 4 years, he didn't give Europeans and America what they want. So they have to now use Buhari, because Buhari is a Fulani willing tool. The tool that is willing to be used. He made the government ungovernable. He made the regime of this man ungovernable. After making the regime of that man ungovernable, he decided that no, now it is now time for him to come out and come for the rescue mission. He called himself the person that will rescue Nigeria. And so many of you with a slogan, he is a military man, a no-nonsense man. He will now rescue Nigeria from this, terrorism that is ravaging and racketeering Nigeria. He is going to do it. When he came into the position of power, terrorists now took over streets. Terrorists took over streets. We did not hear from Obama saying anything again. Obama did not comment again. That was the time Obama was saying to keep Nigeria one is the task that must be done. Done under what circumstances? Why does Obama have to interfere with Nigeria one or not? Obama is Americana. So why is it his problem if Nigeria is one or two? For you to see, it is the control of the West. They control what happens to your life from where they are, the power of imperialism and neocolonialism. That is exactly what he deployed. And he scared Goodluck Jonathan off. Because Goodluck Jonathan probably is scared, he's scared of assassination. That's the reason why he has to just take a bow. He didn't want to, argue with them. He was not really a politician. He was not a politician because he does not have a grassroots of politician. That is the reason why they were able to scale her out of him and scare him off the office and gave it to Buhari. Buhari basically ruled for how many years? Less than 4 years. Less than 4 years. Died in 2017. They have to clone him because they need to be in control. They don't want to, because if they did not clone him, remember, if another election comes up, Goodluck Jonathan might contest and he might win again. So they don't want it. That's why they had to clone him. They had to clone him to make sure until they find a person who is willing to serve, just like Buhari did. And it was already promised to be given to Bola, because number one, they will now, start bringing up everything that they have a leverage against Bola. Bring it up in a way that you cannot actually, go further to prove them. Such as the case he has in 1999. The nicotine case he has in 1999 in Chicago. They presented it without, giving more details. Now, only to show you we have this on you. You need to comply. We will give you this power. Are you willing to comply? That's how they do it. Yes, he is willing to comply. We are going to defend you. Do what you can to win the election. No problem. We are going to defend you. We are even going to be the first people to congratulate you. That's how it rolls. Once the U.S. congratulates a president in any African country, it means the election is free and fair. That is what is assumed. It becomes free and fair. So now, he is thanking him for protecting democracy, when him is the one who destroyed democracy. Just like Dati said. Dati is the deputy of Obedient. He said that swearing Tinubu in is the end of democracy in Nigeria. And that is perfectly the truth. And they did it. What happened? Nothing. You cry, you go and hide your face. That's the way it is. When you're done crying, you will go and hide your face. You can't do nothing. Because the masters, they have taken over the game of chess. That is it. as they are praising your government for bringing sanction that is affecting you. That is the way it is. A sanction that is affecting you, they are praising your government. The only thing they could not do, because people started talking, is to send you to war. Nigeria is so lucky. Nigeria is so lucky that they didn't go to that war. They are so lucky. They were going to be disgraced. You know, it is not about having $4 billion military budget. They were going to be disgraced. Oh. And the first thing they will target is that pipeline that goes through Niger Republic. They know it will not leave. They will not leave it unabated to carry on when they are warring. There is something Michael Zokome said that I want to reflect on. And after reflecting on that, I don't know, we will check if we will be able to touch. We will now go to Asari D. Acres of coups. Coups and more coups. That is the title of the article. Which country is next in Africa? By Michael Zokome. Which country is the next in Africa? Everybody perceives, you know, most of the people who predict Togo, you know, is Sierra Leone there or they have taken over yet? Just like we all know that the Gabon president has been released by the military. They told him if he wants to fly himself abroad, he can go. That's the new development there as they crown the new leader there. So they have released him to go. He is a free man now. The wake of the string of military coup has put Africa on ugly global headlines. This signifies a decline in the achievement of the neoliberal democratic program that was established in Africa after the Cold War. The essence of the program was to purge the content of authoritarian and the military dictatorship through seizure of power in favor of political pluralism and the rule of law. It was therefore expected that the coups are supposed to be things of the past and dictatorship totally forgotten. However, the reverse has been the case. Out of at least 242 successful military coups that have occurred globally since 1950, Africa accounts for the largest number at 106. 106. The byproduct of these coups point directly to the failure of democracy. Not all coups, however, occur due to failure of democracy. In fact, during the 1960s and 1970s, there were coup attempts in every 55 days in over 90% of African states. West Africa alone has the highest number of coups in the continent. It accounts for 44.4%. These coups, which have even spread across Central Africa. The more recent Gabon coup finally broke the camel's back and has revealed from anomalies in Africa governance. Democracy, often hailed as the cornerstone of political freedom and citizen participation, has faced numerous challenges worldwide. Democracy as a concept was developed to enable people have their final say in their affairs, as opposed to a situation where selected few rule to the detriment of others. Abraham Lincoln described this concept as the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. During his November 1863 Gettysburg Declaration in Africa, a continent characterized by its rich cultural diversity and complex political landscape, democracy has often been brazenly manipulated and abused by leaders who prioritize their personal interest over the well-being of their nations. The Vista Summit that less blame should be on democracy for military takeover. Did you hear that? This Vista Summit that less blame should be on democracy for military takeover. Let's hear from what they are. The decline in democracy shows that democracy was once alive but now dying because of its bad practitioners. This must send strong signal to African leaders that it can no longer be business as usual. There has been the disturbing trend of African leaders exploiting the concept of democracy to entrench themselves in power. It is no longer merely oligarchic, or is it oligarchic? It has become primogeniture, father to son rulership. That's true. That's right. Father to son rulership. Democracy is entwined and intertwined with good governance. In other words, if democracy is superficial, it would naturally lead to a bad governance. Bad governance is therefore the reason for the Gabon coup, and not democracy. That is why when democracy becomes demon, crazy, the people react. Demon, crazy is a new word added to the English language by Ezepedia, my own neologism. My coinage of new words and phrases. It was first used by the late Fela Anikulapo Kuti in one of his famous hits, Demon Crazy, Demonstration of Crazy, Crazy Demonstration. The waves of coups blowing across Africa. No doubt, Africa countries have always cultivated fertile soil for coups, poverty, poor economic performance, insecurity, corruption, seatism, amongst others. Indeed, from the 10 so far, a coup by a country is Habinga. A coup by the country is Habinga for yet a coup by another country. I would not be surprised if more coups occur. It is like a sore whitlow generating a blistering headache. The reason for these coups are not far from the instability such as country experienced after independence. Statistics reveal that in the years after 2000, there was a noticeable decline in military intervention, but recently, the rise has become alarming. Countries with the most coup. From analysis, the countries with the most coup in Africa are Sudan. Sudan has had the most coups and attempted takeover, adding up to 17, with 6 of them successful. Long-serving leader Omar al-Bashir was removed from power following months of protest in 2019. Note that Bashir himself had once taken over in a military coup in 1989. Secondly, Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso in West Africa has had the most successful coup, with 9 takeovers and 1 failed coup. Nigeria. Nigeria once had a reputation for military coups following her 1960 flag independence, with 8 between January 15, 1966 and the takeover by General Sani Abacha in 1993. However, since the 1999 transfer of power in Africa's most populous nation by democratic election have always held. Then Burundi. In Burundi, 11 separate coups, mostly driven by the tension between the Hutu and the Tutsi communities. Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone experienced 3 coups between 1967 and 1968, and another one in 1971. Between 1992 and 1997, it experienced 5 further coup attempts. Ghana has also had experienced 8 coups in 2 decades. The first was in 1966, when Kwame Nkrumah was forcibly removed from power. In the following year, there was an unsuccessful attempt by junior army officer. Now, if I may pause it here and tell you that most of these coups d'etat during, before 21st century, those coups d'etat, believe you me, they were well orchestrated by Europeans, because they were trying who is going to be the best candidate. It was happening. It was not for any benefit of any country. It was just like the one that took place in Nigeria. It was a coup d'etat that was well orchestrated by Britain, which is actually held by Chukwuma Nzogu. They use an Igbo man, which is from South-South, so-called South-South, to carry out this coup. And at the end of the day, it was the coup to actually make sure that they undermine the Igbos today. And that is actually the wave of that coup, or will I say the aftermath of that coup, aftershock of that coup, is the reason why we have found ourselves in this mess today. And at the end of the day, I want to agree with, Professor San Michael Zokome that the coup, the democracy, in fact, I want to disagree with you. That the coup is because of the democracy. You say that it is not to be blamed. Democracy is not to be blamed. Rather, bad governance is to be blamed. It is two-sided coin. Which the other side of the coin is democracy that we practice in Nigeria, such as in sub-Saharan Africa. Let me just limit it to sub-Saharan Africa. Such democracy that we practice in that area, it is this democracy to be blamed. Because if this democracy is not there, there will not be anybody who will come from European nation who will have interest on who is going to govern the country. If the democracy is not there, people will not be, sponsored by international organization to go and be the president of a particular nation. Because that democracy is actually the gateway it becomes the gateway for all these corrupt leaders to come in, because it is manipulatable. And there is nobody who will be held to account under democratic dispensation. It is manipulatable. And I mean the type of democracy that Africa practices. Because Africa is not free. Africa is actually under neocolonialism. So when you are under neocolonialism, the tool to foster this neocolonialism is democracy. Because they will now be the ones, to fund your political campaign. They will be the ones to support whoever they want them to be in the position of power. It is all about them. It is not people who are actually going out there to do what they're supposed to do. They are manipulating democracy. Democracy is supposed to be the best, but not for Africa as it stands now. If Africa is not free from, this neo-colonialism and imperialism, you will never have a sustainable democracy. So that's where I disagree. Democracy is also supposed to be blamed, because this democracy is through democracy that they are giving us their own candidate. And because they have institutionalized poverty, that poverty that becomes an institution where they select those and give them small money or food parcel in order for them to bring out people that will rally about them, give them empty promises under democracy, so that these people will now support them. Because if there is no institution called poverty, democracy, this type of democracy we have, will never thrive in Nigeria or in Africa. So they have to create poverty institution where they select their willing tools to give them that support that they need in order to ascend the throne where they become omnipotent. So have you now seen that this type of democracy, it has to be blamed? It must be blamed, because people are not informed on the type of democracy that is being played. So that's where I do not fully agree with you that bad governance is to be blamed. Democracy is also to be blamed, because it is a gateway for corrupt leaders to come in. It is a gateway. So let me continue to read. So it talks about Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone, the next. Ghana, yes, has had experience of 8 coup and unsuccessful when they removed Kwame Nkrumah, forcibly removed from power. And that one, it is obvious, everybody is aware that is well orchestrated by the Europeans. When they removed Kwame Nkrumah, he was forcefully removed from power. In the following year, there was an unsuccessful attempt by junior army officer. Now, like Nostradamus in 2001, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that the military coup are back, adding that geopolitical divisions are undermining international cooperation and a sense of impunity is taking hold. 2 years later, Antonio seems to have been proven right. To sum it all, Africa has experienced more coups than any other continent in the world. Of the 18 coups, any other continents in the world, of the 18 coups recorded globally since 2017, all but one Myanmar in 2001 have been in Africa. Or Myanmar have been in Africa. The recent coup in Africa have been mind-blowing. The trend seems to be that people are becoming more comfortable with military juntas than civilian leaders because of the misgovernance. Let's take a ride through the coup abate briefly. Niger Republic, Niger. In July 2023, member of Niger's presidential guard detained President Mohamed Bazoum inside his place and appeared on national television saying they were seizing power to end the deteriorating security situation and bad governance. Days later, the junta declared the head of the presidential guard, Abdurrahmani Tichiani, the new head of state, raising concern about security of the region where Niger has been a key ally of Western power, seeking to contain insurgency by group linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. Burkina Faso. In January 2022, Burkina Faso's army ousted President Roch Kabore, blaming him for failing to contain violence by Islamic militant coup leader Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba pledged to restore security, but attack worsened, eroding morale in the armed forces that led to a second coup in September 2022, when current junta-led Captain Ibrahim Traoré seized power. Okay, seized power. Guinea. In September 2021, Special Forces Commander Colonel Mamadi Daumboya ousted President Alpha Condé. A year earlier, Condé had changed the constitution to circumvent limits that would have prevented him from standing for a third term, triggering widespread rioting. Daumboya, who became interim president, promised a civilian transition by democratic means within 3 years, but this was rejected by ECOWAS with attendant sanctions. The military later promised to begin transition by 2023, but there exists zero institutions and the roadmap to actualize same. Chad. It's a lot of them. So I am not going to actually, finish. Let me just read those ones you know. Chad. After President Idris Deby was killed on the battlefield while visiting troops fighting rebels in the north, the army took over in 2021. This was in utter violation of the Chadian constitution that provides that the Speaker of Parliament takes over in such instance. The parliament was dissolved and General Mahamat Idris Deby, the son of the president, was named the interim president to oversee an 18-month transition plan. That one is quite dodgy. That type of coup is quite dodgy. Mali. Power was seized from President Ibrahim Keïta after a group of Malian colonels were led by Assimi Goïta. Under pressure from Mali's West African neighbors, the junta reluctantly agreed to cede power to a civilian-led interim government tasked with overseeing an 18-month transition to democratic election to be held in February 2022. However, a clash occurred between the coup leaders and the interim president, retired Colonel Ba Ndo, and this led to a second coup. In May 2021, Goita Geho, the interim vice president, was elevated to the presidency. The country is scheduled to hold election in 2024, hopefully. Now the Gabon, let truth be told, contrarily. Let me read this Gabon. It looks like it will be very interesting. Contrarily view that coups in Africa are only as a result of failed democracy. The Gabon coup show a quite different scenario. Africa should now be put on notice about coups. Coupists do not write love letters announcing their coming. On August 30th, just hour after Gabon's election commission announced that President Ali Bongo Ondimba had been elected the third term. A group of Gabonese military officers from the elite Presidential Guard unit seized power and placed the president under house arrest at the palace. Later that day, the officer declared general. Okay, that is the same. It is the ones we still know. So it becomes the way it is. Coups in Africa. Now, where is the coup going next? Where is the coup going next? That is the question everybody does not know. But I know that the military in Nigeria, they are lame. They are only good when it comes to, destroying civilian houses. Just like you will see, or you have seen in this picture here. They have started bombarding this picture in the middle where you see cars and a military man. They have started bombarding houses, homes of innocent people in Biafra land after their agents unveiled their so-called Biafra army. So they have started using that opportunity to go into Biafra land to bombard. And of course, it will not go unabated because these people they are killing, even those who provoke them, they are all going to be saved, but they will start killing innocent people. That is what Nigerian military is known for. They cannot ever do anything to help themselves, talk more of helping ordinary people on the ground to regain their freedom. That is what we know, and we will actually continue to push them until they do the right thing. I think I am going to actually leave it here. Tomorrow we will proceed when we will have a good reception, because I can see, it is quite unfortunate that we do not join Facebook today, but unfailingly, we are going to actually bring back the rest of the topic that we cannot treat right now. I feel more comfortable when I am actually on Facebook. I feel more comfortable, and then, I get more precept when I am also on Facebook, because that is where we began, and it is actually where the mother of our host broadcast. And we are live also on Twitter. I don't know how Twitter is faring, but looks like Twitter is also on and off, dividing the broadcast because of inadequate reception, or will I say because of insufficient reception that is on Twitter, because I had to reduce the byte rate. So we will continue tomorrow when we will have a good signal, and then we will make sure that we bring back. And there is a very, very important topic that we have. This important topic that we have, we are going to now treat it. We are going to treat it when we come online later today or tomorrow. we are going to treat it, which is Asari D and his Ekpesu. We are going to treat that topic. It is very, very important. And then defending of the mandate and his plans. And then this man who was threatened Nigeria that if they don't get Igbo presidency, they will know that they are not part of Nigeria. We are going to, come to that. We are going to come to that and talk about it. But for now, we still don't have a good reception both on Twitter, but I believe that YouTube is there. If you are watching on YouTube, click the like button. Don't forget to share the video. Benjamin, what is it? Benjamin is quite angry. Hey. You have to be angry. Because your people are benefiting from the evil that, that destroys the life of other people. You have to be angry. So, I don't blame you when you are angry, because we want to remove the food from your mouth. You are a criminal. Benjamin, you are a criminal. Part of those who are killing people in Nigeria. So it is now time to end you people's oppression and killing. So you have to actually get very upset. If I don't see you being upset and insulting your father in the comment section, I believe I will not. It means I'm not talking to somebody, but I have seen it. You have insulted your parents in the comment section because it shows that they did not train you well and you do not have manner of approach. So it is very, very important that we must continue. As long as we see they are angry, it means that it is sinking in. What we are saying is going in. We are going to talk about it more in our next broadcast tomorrow. So stay tuned. Until we meet again, stay safe and stay informed.